People who became successful after the age of 40, Part 13, Gordon Bowker. When people think of Starbucks today, they imagine a global coffeehouse empire, a place where millions gather daily for lattes, cappuccinos, and conversations. At the center of its early story is Gordon Bowker, a man who didn't launch his most iconic venture until after the age of 40. Bowker's career began far from coffee. He was a writer, filmmaker, and advertising professional. Yet in his midlife years, he co-founded Starbucks, planting the seed for what would become one of the most recognized brands in the world. His journey shows how a career pivot later in life can lead to unexpected global success. Early life and creative career. Gordon Bowker was born in 1942 in Seattle, Washington. Unlike many entrepreneurs who focus on business from a young age, Bowker's early passions were in the arts. He studied at the University of San Francisco, where he immersed himself in literature, film, and creative writing. After college, Bowker pursued a career as a writer and screenwriter. He contributed scripts and stories, but success in Hollywood was elusive. His love for storytelling, however, taught him the power of branding and communication, skills that would later prove essential. He returned to Seattle and entered advertising, where he gained experience in marketing and consumer behavior. Bowker's background gave him a creative edge, but by his late 30s, he had not yet found his defining success. The birth of Starbucks. In the early 1970s, Bowker, now in his early 40s, joined with friends Jerry Baldwin and Zev Siegel to create a new kind of business. Inspired by Peet's Coffee in Berkeley, California, they wanted to bring high-quality, freshly roasted coffee beans to Seattle. In 1971, the first Starbucks opened in Seattle's Pike Place Market. The store sold roasted beans, coffee-making equipment, and accessories. At that time, the idea of gourmet coffee was unfamiliar to most Americans. Coffee was cheap, mass-produced, and not treated as an art. Bowker and his partners wanted to change that. The name Starbucks was chosen by Bowker, inspired by Herman Melville's Moby Dick. The nautical theme tied into Seattle's port city identity, and the logo, a twin-tailed siren, was designed to capture a sense of tradition and mystery. These branding decisions, driven by Bowker's creative instincts, gave the company its distinctive character. Challenges in the early years. Starbucks grew slowly in its first decade. The company focused on selling high-quality beans and equipment, not on serving brewed coffee drinks. Bowker and his partners were passionate about quality, but Starbucks remained a small niche business. By the early 1980s, Starbucks had only a handful of stores. At this point, Bowker, now in his 40s, was still balancing other creative work while nurturing the company. The business was steady, but it had not yet exploded into mainstream culture. The turning point. Howard Schultz joins. The pivotal moment came in 1982, when Howard Schultz joined Starbucks as Director of Retail Operations and Marketing. Schultz, inspired by Italy's espresso culture, envisioned Starbucks as a coffeehouse chain rather than just a bean seller. Bowker and the other founders were hesitant at first, but Schultz's vision eventually won out. Starbucks began to shift toward serving drinks in addition to selling beans. This transformation changed the company from a local retailer into a cultural phenomenon. In 1987, Schultz purchased Starbucks from Bowker and his partners, expanding it aggressively across the United States and later worldwide. Though Bowker stepped away, his role as a co-founder and the creative force behind the brand's identity remained foundational. Life after Starbucks. After selling his stake in Starbucks, Gordon Bowker returned to his creative passions. He worked in film and writing, continuing the artistic career that had defined his early life. Though he was no longer directly involved in Starbucks, the company's success continued to grow, making his early vision of quality coffee and strong branding a global reality. Today, Starbucks operates in more than 80 countries with tens of thousands of stores. Millions of people walk into Starbucks daily without realizing that one of its founding minds was a writer and creative professional who shifted gears in midlife. The lesson of Bowker's life. Gordon Bowker's story highlights the power of creativity and reinvention. He was not an engineer, a scientist, or a lifelong businessman. He was a storyteller and brand builder who used his imagination to shape a company's identity. His leap into entrepreneurship after 40 shows that it is never too late to pivot, to try something new, or to launch a business that may outlast you. While others might have dismissed coffee as a small commodity, Bowker saw a story waiting to be told. His eye for names, symbols, and brand character helped create a company that became a global cultural icon. Conclusion. Gordon Bowker co-founded Starbucks after the age of 40, proving that creative instincts and midlife risks can build global legacies. His decision to leave behind traditional career paths and start a coffee company redefined how the world experiences coffee. Starbucks today is more than just a business. It is a lifestyle brand, and at its foundation is the vision of Bowker, a man who showed that age does not limit innovation. Sometimes the right story, the right brand, and the right moment can change the world, even after 40. Subscribe to this channel.